Oh, hey there, spooky listener. Good news. You still have some time before the episode starts if you want to scroll up and hit that follow or subscribe button, depending on whatever platform you're listening to this on. We have no preference, they're all good. If you're feeling really generous, you can even leave us a little review. We like 5-star ones the best. And tell us why you like the podcast. If you don't like the podcast, that's cool, but why are you listening? There's loads of other stuff to listen to out there. If you want to send us a little more detailed feedback, we have a dedicated email address. It's rowanandpinepod@gmail.com. The and is spelled out, so it's Rowan, A-N-D, pinepod@gmail.com. And also, please use that for spooky stories and encounters and stuff that you just want us to talk about on the pod. And failing all that, if email's not really your thing, you can always find the links to any of our socials in the Linktree that's in the description of every episode. Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Discord, whatever it is that you like to use. And make sure to tag us if you're recommending the pod. Also memes. Did you get all that? Good. Okay, start the intro music.
Yeah!
Season 2, baby!
We're here.
We are here.
I am significantly less human than I was last time.
Well, less human, I don't know. You have evolved as a human. You're like a Pokemon. You're the next stage.
No, but I have one less person in my body, so that's cool.
But yeah, Emily has evolved. She is the next stage of existence. She's responsible for another human life, which is great because Medardo kind of takes care of himself at this stage. He can be left alone.
He's grown up a little bit. He can be left alone with some snacks.
Yeah, he can make himself a coffee.
I'll order you a pizza. Emergency on speed dial.
There's $20 under the phone. We're so proud of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask everybody if they've been pining for us.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Did you miss us?
Did you miss us? I'm sure you guys did miss us. It is a bit shit when your podcast goes on hiatus, one that you're looking forward to all the time. You're just like, ah. But hopefully
that implies that people look forward to us.
I bet they do.
I hope so. That would be nice. I did have one of our friends told me he was re-listening to the podcast, and I was just like, oh my god, is this because we've been gone for so long?
That's crazy. I don't even re-listen to this podcast.
I re-listened to our last episode, the episode about rabbits, because I was like, I don't remember why I did. I think I was just kind of taking mental notes about do this, don't do this, blah, blah, blah. And it was just really funny because at the beginning we were talking about how the baby might not let us record the episode because I remember she had her foot in my lungs or something like that. And I was just like, And since then, I've had a baby tear me open.
You tear my heart open.
And now she's 4 months old already.
That's crazy.
We've been gone for a hot minute.
You know what? It's been good to have a break. I started a new job in that time. And
you did?
Are you saying that you don't know this?
No, I said you did.
You're like, you did? I'm like, well, it was around the time that the baby was born, so maybe she forgot.
I do. It's I remember, but it's back in my brain somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's once you say it, I'm like, that is true. That is correct. You did that.
I started a job where I actually have to work, so...
Oh, damn it.
Yeah, my last job, people were laughing at me because I was giving it up because they would just forget that I existed. Everybody else I worked with was in London, so
wow.
I would just hear nothing for a full week. I remember there was 2 solid weeks where I didn't get a single email.
Wow.
And I was
so what did you do? You just...
I researched for this podcast. I cleaned my house. No, I did reach out and be like, hey... remember me? And they'd be like, oh yeah, you can do this if you want. I'm like, I don't really want to. I just don't want you to come back to me in 3 months and be like, what the fuck have you been doing? So yeah.
But you got paid for that. That's crazy.
I know, it is so crazy, but it just shows that the corporate world is absolute bullshit. At least I'm somewhere now where people actually talk to me multiple times a day and I'm challenged.
You actually have to work.
Yeah. And I do have to speak like a lawyer sometimes. which is,
oh my gosh,
it's funny every time. Like, I don't know, do you ever get to the point where like when somebody asks you a question that like you're qualified to answer, but like there's a part of you that just panics and goes, well, what the fuck are you asking me for?
I'm not qualified to answer anything, so.
Hey, you have a degree
in art.
Art.
That's kind of how it feels sometimes. It's like I make colors. I draw pictures.
The strikes have told us anything. It's that art is important, and we support strikes. So
I know
it's very important.
It is. I think I turned into such a huge nerd when people start talking about art. Like, I'm not a graphic designer, but I do know a fair amount about like text placement and spacing and mixing fonts and things like that, which it's so funny because our logo where it says Rowan and Pine, there's like a space in it that I didn't fix when I was making it, and now it bothers me, but I'm just like, I feel like I can't change it.
Everybody just
everywhere.
Everybody just picked up their phone to look at our logo now when you said that. I'm like, oh,
I know.
It's hideous. Yeah.
It's terrible.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but that's fine.
Yeah, but it bothers me, so. And I get that way about like other stuff. I'm just like, oh my god, like these colors, and like now dressing my child, I'm like, she can't wear that with those pants. The colors aren't right.
This isn't in her color palette.
Yeah,
she's a soft summer or something. I don't know. I don't know the color.
She does have a color palette though. I'm finding.
Oh, of course she does.
Her color is periwinkle. That's the color she looks the absolute best in.
That's a great color. That is a great color.
It is.
Good.
Anyway, we should talk about what we came here for.
Oh yeah, by the way, we have a podcast. It's called Rowan and Pine.
Yeah.
You are here for season 2, episode 1.
I know. This is so wild. My name is Emily.
And my name is Niamh. And today we're going to talk to you about Appalachia.
Creepy Appalachia.
Creepy Appalachia. So we are thinking that this may be a 2-parter. I'll leave this in if it ends up being a 2-parter.
This is a 2-parter. Say it with confidence.
This is a 2-parter. So Emily and I did one of our rare things where we both researched the same thing so that we could bring you a more rounded episode. And we just thought it would be fun to get something with such a rich area of folklore. It's always something that like anytime I come across it, I always like want to sit and like listen to stories, and I want to know more. And it's something that I didn't really know a whole lot about. It's just something that's been on my periphery for all this time. It's just like I kind of just, you see these videos about like, oh, like if you're in Appalachia, like don't like listen to people calling your name, and like the skinwalkers, and I don't know, are we maybe not meant to say skinwalkers? I don't know. Could be.
Is that a thing? You're not supposed to say it?
I think so.
Oh no. Is it like the W guy?
Yeah, possibly.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
No. What W guy?
It's
I'm just thinking Wally. Well, Waldo if you're American.
No. Well, I don't want to say it. It's a Native American folklore. And it's like a creature that like eats people.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're not.
This one.
Are you not supposed to say that?
No.
Oh.
Then it's gonna find you.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
But this one podcast that I listened to, shout out to 2 Girls, 1 Ghost. I love their podcast.
That's also a great podcast name. My gosh.
Amazing. They call them Windy Boys.
Nice.
You're not supposed to say it.
Windy Boys. Yeah. Well, because I heard like in a few places that the format of our podcast is quite similar to Morbid.
Interesting.
And they call skinwalkers flesh pedestrians, because their listeners told them that you're not supposed to say it. So
flesh pedestrians.
Yes, flesh pedestrians.
That's so good.
Yeah, it's really good, and that is a really good podcast. They don't need me to give them a shout out, but yeah, it's really good. But like we're different, okay? This is a different podcast. There's room for all of us.
Different, yeah. They're more true crime, aren't they?
They do both
true crime and what?
They do a few episodes of true crime, and then some of their episodes are like cryptids and hauntings and all of that kind of stuff.
Okay. Well, we don't do true crime, so
yeah, we don't. Plus, I am getting more and more like turned off true crime.
Same.
Yeah, like the more I think about it, I'm just like, yeah, I'm just not. I feel icky.
Yeah, I think I started kind of feeling that way like a couple years ago, but I wasn't able to articulate it. And then when the Jeffrey Dahmer Netflix series came out, and everybody's like, these are our family members who were brutally murdered, and you're like making a show about it. And I was like, wow, yeah, that's, you know, we're all these like weird onlookers when this was someone's life, and like all these like events, all the grief and like all the struggles that their family and friends went through following their death. It's like, makes it feel kind of gross. It's like trauma porn.
It is. It's trauma porn. And then that's not to mention like when there's like online sleuths who are like falsely accusing people and all of that kind of shit. It's just, it's become, I think, too big.
Yeah.
The competition for like views and for listeners and all of that, like people are just going really extreme. And I don't know, it just gives me the ick when people are like, they're sitting with a microphone and they're talking like they have they're an authority on this thing when it's all just speculation and all they've done is downloaded court documents or police reports. You're just like, you don't know this. You're just speculating. You know, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're just fueling the fire. And
even like one of my favorite podcasts, Last Podcast on the Left, I think they're even kind of like veering away from like murders and serial killers, and they're doing more sort of like, like cryptids and sort of like government conspiracies and things like that, stuff that's like super interesting and you can learn a lot more about without really having it be like, and then like their body was cut in half.
Yeah.
Like
also like huge shout out to, I showed Emily her Instagram page, but Legia Miller, who has a YouTube channel. She's Legia Miller, real life lawyer. She does a lot of like breaking down like, where did Reaganomics come from? Like, what was the impact that Ronald Reagan had on like the American economy and all this kind of stuff, and just breaking it down to the very bare bones and making it really accessible. But she has a really interesting video on like true crime and it's just really good. I highly recommend her channel. And she just seems cool. I feel like we would get along.
Lawyer things.
Yeah, or like not even that. She's just so like she's really like sarcastic. She has a series where she just reacts to far right TikToks. It's really funny. And they're like, you know, people who are just making the most outlandish like claims. And she's like, actually, no. And she always has like her evidence to rebut whatever they're saying. It's very good. Very
people don't like evidence. They don't like facts.
No.
Anyway,
we do like facts though, and we have some facts.
We're gonna start it out with facts, and then we're going into more lore and things like that. So
what? You mean these things aren't real?
Sorry.
I kind of wish they were. I wish we talked about this, like wishing we could believe in more of these things, but what are you gonna do? We're skeptics.
Yeah, it sucks because a lot of times, like on my research, it would be like, these are the stories, and then it's like, these are the facts. And it was, it's all interesting to me, but I had to like, I was like, man, do I really want to like have this podcast be like, all of this cool stuff happened, but it's not real.
Yeah. It's a fine line, and it's something that I think that we're still trying to find, because you want to have fun with it, but at the same time, we're not nuts. You know, we're not just going to sit here and like say like all this shit is real when it's not. Like, there's like explanations for a lot of it, you know. Our explanation, so Appalachia, not Appalachia.
Appalachia?
Okay.
Appalachia.
Okay.
Do you remember the conversation you and I had about how my very own husband corrected me in my pronunciation of Appalachia?
Mm-hmm.
So the other day, he's like, what's the episode you guys are doing? And I was like, Creepy Appalachia. And he was like, I'm sorry, what? And I was like, Creepy Appalachia. And he was like, creepy what? And I was like, Appalachia. Don't fuck with me like this.
Oh, he knows how to press your buttons.
You're wrong.
The Appalachian region is on the North American continent. It's made up of actually 423 counties across 13 states. It spans 206,000 square miles. From this source says southern New York. Another source I read said it actually starts in Canada, but I think that's the mountain range starts in Canada, to northern Mississippi.
Yeah, I more know it for being like a United States region, not in Canada.
Yeah. Maybe the Canadians are just trying to like slowly invade you. They're pesky. It's estimated that about 26.3 million people call Appalachia home. And it's parts of Alabama, Georgia, Kentucky, Maryland, Mississippi, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia. And it also encompasses all of West Virginia.
That is the only state that is fully in Appalachia.
Probably why it's sort of the most, like, I would associate most with Appalachia.
Yeah, everybody's like, what is it? It's like Wild and Wonderful West Virginia. It's just kind of known as like this like crazy state. I was going to say too that you wouldn't know this song, but there's a song called The 50 Nifty United States where you say all the United States in alphabetical order, like to a song.
Oh.
And like reading this, it's like, because it goes in alphabetical order, it's like my brain starts immediately going to like that song.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm not singing it.
I didn't even realize it was alphabetical order. Yeah. That's cool. And then also a special mention to, there are 3 federally recognized and 5 state recognized Native American tribal communities in Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, New York, and North Carolina. Because it's so huge, it's divided into 3 different subregions. So there's Southern, Central, and Northern Appalachia. I'll not break it down into the states because you've heard me list off states now. And the most sort of striking thing about Appalachia that it is disproportionately rural compared to the rest of the United States. So when you think of like population density and like if you think of like, you know, those maps of like the US at night where you can see all of the lights lit up, those dark patches, one of those towards the right-hand side, that'll be Appalachia.
For those of us who live in the US, we know where Appalachia is. A rough estimate.
I'm speaking for everyone else.
Yeah. The dark side on the right side.
On the right side. East,
I knew a British person who thought that Minnesota was in the south, and I thought that was funny.
Why?
And I was like, what? And they were just like, yeah, it's like by Texas, isn't it? And I was like, no. But like, I'm not going to make fun of you too much, considering this is not your country.
Yeah, that's a thing. Like, people give, like, Americans especially such a hard time for not knowing world geography. But I vaguely know where about 6 states are in the US. And also, there are loads of countries in Europe which I could not point to on a map. Like, I know vaguely where they are.
It's in
but, like,
here
if
somewhere.
you give me a map, yeah, I'm like, near Serbia? I don't know. Population-wise, it is mostly white. The rest of the population is about 10% African American, 6% Hispanic, Latino, and 4.2% other. So that would be
that's
like...
the cryptids.
I was going to be like, sadly, that would be like the tribes and like the tribal regions. But yeah, cryptids is funnier.
The cryptids are filling out their census. The U.S. Census. They're like... nationality or like ethnicity, they're like other.
They only have one pen. They've campaigned hard to get that box on the census, so we'll give it to them. So the white population of Appalachia, probably the most famous, well known, the one most associated is the Scots-Irish, and that is where a lot of the folklore comes from. So just a little note on Scots-Irish, because I think I corrected somebody on this before because it's just something that you kind of inherently know when you grow up here. So Scots-Irish people are not Scottish-Irish people. They are people who populated the north of Ireland during plantation time. So when the British were trying to take over Ireland, they sent over Scottish people as landowners. So Scots-Irish are people who spent time in Ireland, or like their family, like basically filtered through Ireland before coming to the US, because the plantations were sold to them as sort of like this huge like opportunity and you're going to be like a landowner, but like the locals didn't really take to that very well. Yeah. So they didn't really like it very much. So they kind of realized that they actually got the raw end of the deal. So when the opportunity came up to go to the shiny new beautiful American colonies, they took it. So that's who the Scots-Irish are. They're not Scottish-Irish people.
Okay. Thank you for correcting that. I don't know what word I'm looking for. Clarifying that. Because, yeah, I was like, Scots-Irish. Like, and then I found stuff that said Scots-Irish are like a Scottish person and an Irish person married each other, and
yeah,
then, like,
that's what you would think. Like if it was like if somebody told you their heritage was Scots-Irish, you'd just be like, oh, so you have Scottish people and Irish people back in your bloodline. Which maybe some
right.
people that's what they mean when they say that, but
Yeah.
when speaking about Appalachia, we're talking about this group of people. These people have a really rich folklore of their own. Some of it they might have picked up from Irish folklore as well, and some of their traditions. So all of that made this lovely big mishmash, and they brought it over to Appalachia with them. And then you pair that with the Native American folklore of Appalachia and some of the most beautiful wilderness on the entire planet, I think.
Yeah.
And
then another keyword, wilderness.
yes, wilderness.
You're isolated.
Isolation. These communities become really, really insular. They have same families, like marrying each other, meeting each other, procreating with each other through generations.
That's my cousin and my wife.
I think Appalachian people, especially, I came across a podcast. It was from around like 2019, 2020, and it was talking about how during the run up to the 2016 election, Appalachia became known as sort of a Trump supporting heartland. There was a lot of discourse about how the people are uneducated and they're hillbillies and they're inbred and all of this kind of stuff. So they're really trying to break these traditions because these are people that a lot of them have lived in the same communities for generations. They're places of massive like deprivation. They were heavily reliant on industries that aren't really lucrative anymore. And they are just sort of trying to make do with what they have. And unfortunately, when there's poverty, you get people who, might have like their own like strongly held beliefs, or they might give in to these like stereotypes of like substance abuse and all of that. So just to give like a little disclaimer that none of this is any disrespect to people from Appalachia. I'm sure you're very like diverse people.
There's another podcast. I feel like this is just the mentioning of all the podcasts on this episode that I listened to, and they've talked about like a couple different sort of like true crimey type things in Appalachia, and like these people live in houses that they just like hodgepodge like put together.
Mm-hmm.
These are not like real built up homes by like architects or people who know what they're doing. Like
the infrastructure was not being provided.
Right. Yeah. And so it's like this is like the kind of lives that these people lead. Like they're not well off. They're not even living in like good foundation of like living, no pun intended.
Yeah.
Because like their houses are like falling down.
Yeah.
Not everybody, but a lot of that region.
Like we're not trying to generalize 26 million people, but there are
right.
When you live that rurally and you are so self-sufficient, you sort of learn not to be relying on the government, and you're probably learning to be pretty skeptical of your government, and you just want to just muddle on and do the best you can, and
Oh, I was just gonna say this kind of ties into the folk healing thing, because what was that, our first episode? Yeah, how we talked about a lot of the folk healing stuff still exists in rural areas because they don't have access to healthcare and stuff like that. And I think that kind of ties into like a lot of the stuff that we're going to be talking about. It's like these people hold these beliefs and folklore and all that stuff because of their lack of resources.
And also like it's nice to have traditions, and it's nice to pass these things down, and like,
for sure,
it's amazing to tell stories and have stories that like you grew up and your grandmother was telling you this, and like she heard it from her mother and all of this. So yeah, like why wouldn't you want to keep it alive?
Right. I feel like this podcast has kind of become this thing where I want to like, in my life, I'm just going to have like this amalgamation of like all this different folklore of like, okay, we're burning a Yule log, but we're Santa and there's Krampus and there's this and there's that. And there's going to be like all this stuff in my life because of like all this stuff is so rich and interesting. And I feel like it's kind of been like washed away from us, especially those of us who live in like metropolitan areas or big cities.
Yeah. And then the other most important thing is the making of moonshine. Is something that probably was brought from Ireland directly, because we have a moonshine-ish sort of drink made from potatoes called poitín.
Ooh.
And Also, because they probably don't have access to breweries or anything like that. Like, you just have a big party and one person is brewing this moonshine, and then, like, you all are all going to have a great time. And that's something that generations did here as well. So, and there's actually loads of folklore about.
Niamh says, "That's my cousin."
Yeah. There's actually loads of folklore around poaching as well. I think I sent you something on it, like, but it was months ago now. It was actually to do with changelings. They were talking about people who brewed poaching thought that their children were going to be targets for the fairies, so they used to cross-dress their children. They used to dress little boys in dresses.
You probably did send it to me, but basically anything that's happened in the last 6 months has not stayed in my brain.
Yeah.
Like, people, I'll be like, I'll ask somebody a question, they're like, I told you this, and I'm like, you did? I don't remember, because my life has become baby bottles, formula, diapers. When did she eat last? When did she poop? What did her poop look like? Like, all of this different stuff. It's nothing is staying in my brain.
So with that, Emily's actually going to tell us about some of these cryptids and bring us through our creature feature. And then after that, I'm going to do some haunted stories and probably a really famous story that you may have heard already, but you haven't heard it from me, so it's creepy as hell.
It has not been relayed by Niamh yet.
Yes. Okay.
I also wanted to touch on, just because of talking about cryptids, I wanted to talk about the wildlife that lives in Appalachia.
Yeah.
Rip this straight from Britannica.com, so don't hate on me that it's a direct quote. It's bison, elk, and wolves, once common to the Appalachians, disappeared long ago, although elk subsequently have returned to the northern mountains. Caribou and moose are still found in the northernmost corners of the region. Scattered through other areas are black bear, white-tailed deer, wild boar, fox, raccoon, beaver, and numerous other small animals. All areas of Appalachia from Gaspe Peninsula, should have looked that up, to Georgia support an abundant bird life. In the Great Smoky Mountains alone, some 200 varieties of game birds and songbirds have been recorded.
So you tell me I shouldn't walk around there at night? Like, even before we get into the whole cryptid thing, like bears and wolves and bison.
Yeah,
bison
a little
sleep
dangerous.
At night,
I think so. I don't know a whole lot about bison. No, but I just wanted to go over that just a little bit because, well, I'm not covering Bigfoot in this episode, but Bigfoot is seen or reported to be seen in this region, and there are no gorillas living in Appalachia, so so it's not like a mistaken identity sort of thing where it's like, oh, it was a gorilla, no, it was Bigfoot, no, it was whatever.
Yeah. And it's not like a bison walking around on its hind legs. Just a fancy boy.
With how, like, big and thick they are, like, around their heads, I cannot even imagine one walking on its hind legs.
I have no concept of how big they are, but, like, I saw where somebody, it was obviously their pet, like, she got into their living room.
The bison did?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And he just walks in and she's, like, bigger than the couch. And he's like, you're not supposed to be in here, honey. She's just, like, looking at him.
She says, the fuck I am. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a bison in a living room.
Yeah, so that was, like, the first time I saw it where I got, like, any sort of concept of, like, the size of them. Because I just think, like, we have Highland cows here. That's probably, like, the closest looking thing to a bison. But, like, even then, they're just normal cow-sized.
Yeah, bison
just
are gigantic.
Very fluffy. Yeah,
and
scary.
The fucking idiots on Instagram and the influencers and, like, want to take pictures with them, and then they get their ass trampled or bucked or, like, whatever, and then like, oh my god, it's like, yeah, it's a wild animal. It's a gigantic wild animal. What were you expecting?
Plus, they probably have babies now, so they're probably, like, protecting the babies, you know?
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's insane. Anywho, should I start us off on our first quote-unquote cryptid?
Hell yeah.
This one's interesting. I put it first because this is possibly like a tabloid made-up cryptid, which I thought was pretty funny. But anyway, this first one is Bat Boy.
Oh, cool. What is this, like Weekly World News or something?
How do you know?
That's the only like American like kind of tabloidy thing that I know, because it used to be in our local corner shop for some reason.
Yeah.
They had for some reason they had copies of Weekly World News beside all like our local tabloids, or like, you know, all the tabloids from like the UK and Ireland. And yeah, like people that are like our friend group used to like pick it up and be like, "Have you seen this?" I'm like, "That's not, it says UFOs came. Like, what are you doing? That's not real."
Yeah. Although now we know.
Yeah, true.
So, about Bat Boy, the news broke on June 23rd, 1992, that a mysterious bat boy was discovered in a cave in the Allegheny Mountains in West Virginia by a man named Dr. Ron Dillon.
A doctor?
I want to know what kind of doctor he is.
Yeah. That just lends credibility. I mean, if he's a doctor of like podiatry or something, it's
right.
It's probably not lending much, unless like Bat Boy's hanging by his feet or something.
I think that's what bats do.
So like, tell me, like, what makes him bat-like?
So, he was captured nearly 2 miles underground in Hellhole Cave, despite being an elusive and skittish creature. Ooh. It's said that he's frequently on the run and disappears for extended periods of time. There is a legend that at one point Bat Boy stole a vehicle and went on a multi-state high-speed chase with law enforcement.
Bat Boy can drive. Nice.
Yes. Oh, when Bat Boy was found, the scientists who discovered him estimated him to be age 10, though somehow over the last 30 years he has not aged at all. Oh. Bat Boy got his name from looking like a bat. He has large eyes, pointy fangs, and large ears. It is also said that Bat Boy offered his hearing services to aid the U.S. government in the search for Osama bin Laden after the September 11th terrorist attacks.
Wait. Bat Boy speaks English? And he wants to be a Fed? Where did he learn English?
Yeah, he's like, I work for the government.
Yeah, he's just doing some contract work.
Yeah. So it's really funny. I'll have to post it on our Instagram because like the photos, quote unquote, of Bat Boy are hilarious. It is like so obviously photoshopped, or maybe not even photoshopped. It just looks like somebody like glued a bunch of weird stuff together. I don't know. It's pretty hilarious.
So he wears clothes, I'm guessing.
I didn't research if Bat Boy is clothed.
Because I was gonna say, like, if you're gonna be putting a naked Bat Boy up on Instagram, we're gonna get our page taken down.
Oh, it's just a picture of his face.
Okay, cool. It would be a nightmare trying to get clothes for him.
Just Google Bat Boy.
Okay, I'm gonna Google.
Just real quick.
Oh my god! Funny enough, that's what I was picturing. I was like, oh, so like Nosferatu, pretty much, but like with baby eyes.
Yeah, and chubby cheeks.
Yeah,
and a baby nose.
He looks really mad.
Yeah.
There's a musical?
Like... Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I think that this Dr. Ron Dillon guy was the one who he like pitched the idea, and then there became a Broadway musical about Bat Boy.
Nice.
It also said that Bat Boy has met many celebrities, including like who did it say? Like Hillary Clinton and stuff like that. It's like Bat Boy's met all of these people. He's very involved in politics. I'm like, and it's like went on to say, but Bat Boy is not right wing or left wing.
Okay.
He doesn't discuss his political leanings.
Good for him.
Good for Bat Boy.
What the fuck?
So yeah, a little comical story to start us off.
Nice. I like Bat Boy. Bat Boy for president. We need somebody who's a bit non-partisan. Could he like run as an independent? He's probably old enough now.
His color is purple because he's a blend of both the red and the blue.
Oh, yeah. 3-piece purple suit, like the Joker.
Yeah, with a purple hat. Next on the list is Wampus cats. Have you heard of Wampus cats?
No, but the first thing that came to my head was the Whomping Willow from Harry Potter.
Oh my goodness. You Harry Potter people.
I am not a Harry Potter person.
You're not?
You take that back. No.
Oh, I thought you were.
I read Harry Potter when I was like 28.
So
I wasn't a Potterhead. Yeah, pretty much. No, that's fine. Plus, she's trash, so.
Yeah, she's trash. I think the Bat Boy met her too.
Probably.
She came up in a lot of this research that she stole these, like the folklore of these cryptids and like monsters and used it in her, what's the book? Something Unusual Beasts or something like that.
Fantastic Beasts.
Fantastic Beasts. Yeah, that she, a lot of her beasts are, what's a word? I don't know. She stole like from these people.
Misappropriated?
Yeah. Jerk.
She is a jerk. But she's very rich. Anyway.
A very rich jerk.
Yeah. Most of them are.
I also went to college. Well, I didn't go to college. I went to the same college as the person who illustrated the books. The book covers.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anywho. The Wampus Cat, also known as the Cherokee Death Cat.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I would want to be called that, not Wampus Cat.
Right. Well, Wampus Cat is... So, have you heard of the term catawampus?
No.
Oh, it basically means that stuff is like off. Something's wrong.
Okay. Is that like all one word?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's supposedly the Wampus Cat came from the word catawampus.
Oh.
It's also really funny because one of my friends said kitty wampus. Like that's what she says.
Kitty wampus. Nice. It's way cuter.
Yeah. But people who claim to see this cat say that it's similar in size to a large cat, such as a mountain lion or a cougar. Some say it's part cat, part dog. Others say it's like a part cat, part amphibian, and that it jumps into the water and swims away. Kind of like a, what are they? Oh my god. Like weasels? Have you ever seen like the weasels, how they like swim?
Yeah.
So they're they're in the otter family.
Yeah.
The cat has tan fur, and there are varying stories about how many legs the cat has. Some stories say that there's 4 legs, and others say that there's 6 legs. Some say it has glowing yellow eyes, and others say they're green. Either way, the stories agree that these eyes pierce the souls of those that look at it, driving them to insanity.
Oh, Jesus.
In Cherokee legend, it is said that there was a woman who hid under the pelt of a wild cat so she could watch a sacred pre-hunt ceremony. When the war chief saw her, they cursed her to live her life forever as a cat. Because she's cursed to wander Appalachia forever, she takes her anger out on those who cross paths with her.
So you can't like slow blink at her and hope that she'll have mercy? I would probably end up getting murdered. Oh, kitty!
You can't shake the cat treat bag.
A feather on a stick.
Yeah. All of a sudden the Wampus Cat's like, oh my god. That would be pretty cute. A giant 6-legged cat playing. Next up on the list, we have the Flatwoods Monster. In central West Virginia, there's a small town called Flatwoods. In the evening of September 12th, 1952, there was a group of young people. The articles all said youths.
Youths?
So I don't know if they were children, teenagers, young adults.
It has to be
I'm calling
sexy
them
teens. It's always sexy teens in these stories.
I'm just going to call them kids because they were young people. But these kids were playing football and suddenly a fireball shot across the sky and fell to the earth just beyond a hill. The 7 kids went to investigate and saw a pulsating light beyond the hill where the fireball had crashed. Then, to the left of them, 2 beams of light shot through the darkness. They used a flashlight and pointed in the direction that the beams of light were pointing to. They were shocked to see a large human-like creature, and they described it as such. Around 12 feet tall and 4 feet wide. A head shaped like a spade from playing cards. A red face with bright green clothing that hung almost like a skirt. They also said that there was a sickening metallic odor coming from the creature, so the kids ran.
I don't like that.
Yeah. Later, when others went to investigate, there was only trampled grass, 2 skid marks, and the lingering metallic odor. This was the only sighting of the monster, but the town had held a festival on the 50th anniversary of the sighting, and the community holds an annual convention.
I love that. I love that, like, when there's some sort of cryptid, there's usually a festival.
Yes. I just found out about the Bigfoot Festival, or is it called the Sasquatch Festival? But it happens in North Carolina, which I looked up is like a 10.5-hour drive from me.
Oh.
But it happens at the beginning of September, and I'm just like, I want to go so bad.
That would be so much fun.
It would be really fun.
Also, you could dress the baby as a little Sasquatch.
Oh, baby Sasquatch. That would be so cute. Oh my god. Don't give me ideas. I might have to take a 10-hour drive with my infant.
Just so you can dress her as a Sasquatch.
And party with all the other Bigfoot enthusiasts. Following that, we have the moon-eyed people. This one is pretty interesting. It's said that even before European settlers made their way to the U.S., the Cherokee, who lived in the southeastern part of the United States, had encountered people that they called the moon-eyed people. Legend says that these quote-unquote people resembled humans but were a little off. They were very pale and had light eyes, making it so they were unable to go out into the daylight without burning their eyes. This caused them to come out only at night, hence the name moon-eyed people.
Oh, Jesus.
Legend says that the native tribes waited for a full moon to chase the moon-eyed people out of their caves and into the bright light of the moon, causing them to flee to other parts of Appalachia. In the Cherokee County Historical Museum, there is a sculpture that was found in the early 1840s. It's a 3-foot-tall sculpture of conjoined figures that are thought to represent the moon-eyed people. Another interesting photo that I should post on the Interestingagram. The Instagram.
The moon-eyed people sound like the cave people from The Descent. That horror movie.
I've never seen it.
It's like a British horror movie. It's about a bunch of women. It's really, really good. It's like an all-female cast.
Yeah, I know, I'm familiar with the movie. I've never seen it.
They go like spelunking. Spelunking. It's fun to say. And yeah, there's like creatures that are sensitive to light down there because they've been in the dark for so long.
Yeah, I remember being pretty terrified by the trailers for it. I was like, what the?
Yeah, because it has that like jump scare where
I
think she turns on like her torch or her lighter or something, and it's just right there by her face.
Oh god. I have like flashes that's gonna happen to me like in my life. That I'm gonna go like turn on a light and somebody's just gonna be there and I'm gonna be like, ah!
Well, it's like, I think no matter how old I get, I'm never going to want to look outside at nighttime, like through the window.
Because you don't know what you're gonna see.
Yeah, you just don't want to see. I don't want to see anything looking back at me. You know,
my grandparents, I don't remember if I talked about this, they lived across from a cemetery and like out in, it's not like the middle of nowhere, but it's a pretty rural area. Rural. Yeah, and so they lived across from a cemetery, so it would get really, really dark at night, and like they would close the curtains because that's kind of what you do at night. And once the curtains were closed, I was like, don't look out the window.
Yeah.
You will see ghosts.
Yeah. You're not going to see anything you want to see.
Right.
Because even if it's not a ghost, if you see some guy out there, you're not going to want to fucking see that either.
Yeah. But my grandpa would go out each evening, like when the sun was almost down. Is that dusk?
Yeah.
Yes, dusk. And he would be taking the bird feeders down because the bears would come and they would knock the bird feeders over to like eat the stuff.
This is such an American problem.
But it was like, I remember being scared. I'm like, Grandpa's gonna go out, he's gonna see a ghost.
Oh, it wasn't the bear you were worried about, it was a ghost.
Right. It wasn't the bears that were coming around.
Jesus.
So yeah, you'd be most likely to look out and see a bear.
Oh God. No, thank you.
Some theories are that the moon-eyed people were a group of albino Native Americans who were sent out to live on their own, or else that they were Welsh settlers who were here long before Christopher Columbus. The story...
Sorry, I'm just laughing. They're so pale, they must be Welsh.
Just like from the UK somewhere.
Yeah.
The story is told through oral tradition that there was a Welsh prince named Madoc ab Owain Gwynedd. That's my Welsh for you. Who was an early medieval maritime explorer. He was fleeing violence in his home country and was said to have arrived in North America in 1170, which was way before Columbus. The Welsh settlers warred and intermarried with the Native Americans, causing there to be a different-looking race of natives. There were even tribes who spoke a language that was similar to Welsh, and they were able to communicate with those who spoke Welsh, which is pretty interesting.
Wow, yeah, because I can't even communicate with people who speak Welsh. That's very telling.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
It's the craziest language.
After that, we have the Brown Mountain Lights. The Brown Mountain Lights actually doesn't sound scary at all.
Okay.
I mean, just when you say it. Anyway, the Brown Mountain Lights are alleged ghost lights seen over Brown Mountain in North Carolina. It is claimed that these reports of the lights only started around 1910, which coincides with the invention of electricity. This is due to a scientist named George R. Mansfeld who went out with a map and a telescope to try to ruin everyone's fun.
Fuck you, George.
And what kind of a last name is Mansfeld? Just kidding.
Yeah.
To anyone out there who might be listening whose last name is Mansfeld. He said that the lights were brush fires, train lights, and car headlights. But I feel like
that's a
you
bit
would
vague.
know if there was a brush fire, I think.
Yeah, and you could, like, they all look very different. So it was like, all of these things were just happening at the same time.
Right.
It's a train. It's a fire. No.
It's
George,
headlights.
George, sit down. All right?
Yeah.
Have a day off. Stop ruining everybody's
probably in
fun.
a permanent day off at this point, considering this was in 1910. A man named Joseph Levin, who lived next to Levin's Hotel, claimed that he had been seeing the light since 1897, but didn't do or say much until his neighbor, C.E. Gregory, started trying to get public attention on the lights in 1910. Anderson Levin described the lights as red in color and punctual, appearing each night above the horizon at 7:30 p.m. and 10 p.m. In 1913, a United States Geological Survey employee was sent out to investigate the lights and came to the conclusion that the punctuality of the lights was due to the schedule of the trains. In 1909, they began upgrading locomotive headlamps to 600,000 candle power systems, which means nothing to us, but this made their lights brighter than most lighthouses in operation at the time.
Holy shit.
So, pretty bright.
So you can see them from really far.
Anderson Levin didn't mind the lights, as it brought visitors to his hotel who wanted to catch a glimpse of the Brown Mountain Lights. In July of 1916, there was a flood that caused all train activity around the Brown Mountain to stop for a few weeks, but Anderson Levin said that they were still seeing the lights nightly, so most likely wasn't train headlamps. Some Cherokee Native Americans have different legends on what the lights might be. One of the legends is that the lights are ancestors who passed away in a war on Brown Mountain. Another folktale is that the lights are those of rejected lovers who are lighting lanterns for their significant others in the night.
Aww.
The most famous ghost story is the ghost story of Belinda. As Russell and Barnett write, before the war between the states, mountain marriages were made when a man and a woman decided to live together. So it was that Belinda, still a teenager and expecting a baby, was married to Jim. Jim, as the story goes, was an abusive and an adulterer. On the day of his child's birth, Belinda and the baby went missing, never to be seen again. When the townsfolk heard of the disappearance, they went to the woods to find her. Instead, they found her bloodied bonnet. As night approached, strange lights appeared. The search party followed the lights to a pile of stones where they dug up 2 skulls, one of an adult and one of a baby. In those days, the people believed that when the skulls of the murdered were held over the head of the murderer, he could tell no lies. Jim, however, when he was held down and questioned, the skulls dangling above him from the accuser's hands, did not speak, and it was said to never speak again. The lights, they believed, were the lost spirits of Belinda and her baby. Today the ghosts still wander. The myriad of ghost stories surrounding the Brown Mountain Lights are all wildly different. A much lesser known explanation is that the lights are similar to the will-o'-the-wisp, which we have talked a little bit about. Which in this case it is said that they are lanterns or torches carried by fairies or other mischievous spirits far off in the distance. It's said that if travelers approached the lights, they would move further and further away, luring travelers further into the bog.
Ooh.
So don't follow the lights.
Yeah. Whatever you do, never follow the lights.
Run far away.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, interesting. No, it's not.
No, it's not. You pretend you didn't see that.
Yeah, run away. Now we have the Grafton Monster. The first reported sighting of the Grafton Monster was on June 16th, 1964 in Grafton, West Virginia. A man named Robert Cockrell got off work at the local newspaper around 11 p.m., and on his way home, he came around a curve and spotted a huge white obstruction with smooth skin and no apparent head. Once he got home, he reached out to a couple of friends to help him go back to the area to investigate. They didn't see the monster, but the grass in the area was trampled as they searched, and as they searched, a low whistling sound was following them.
Oh, God.
I also want to know what a low whistling sound
Yeah,
sounds
for some
like.
reason that's really creepy.
I know, it's weirder than just like a regular whistle. Robert Cockrell didn't want to tell anyone else what he saw until he heard other people talking about it. More than 20 calls came in about others reporting seeing the same monster, so Robert published an article about it in the newspaper in which he worked for on June 19th, 1964. The monster is said to be between 7 to 10 feet tall, bipedal, white rubbery skin like a seal, and either no head or a head tucked down into its shoulders. There are theories that the Grafton Monster is an interdimensional being.
Ooh!
Da-da-da-da!
Throwback!
Like our friend Bigfoot.
Throwback!
Throwback!
We should make a sound for throwback!
Throwback to a previous episode.
It's my harmonizing.
Like, you do like a Christina Aguilera move, like your finger in your
Oh,
ear
yeah.
and the hand. Some people think it could have been a standing bear that was misidentified.
Okay.
But bears don't have seal-like skin. That's my problem with
Yeah. Unless he was like blinged out to fuck. Like he was just like, I found this stuff and I tried it on and I look amazing. So I'm just going to walk around and scare the shit out of people.
I'm a sexy bear. Look at me, I'm a sexy bear.
A sexy bear. That's what bears sound like.
If you don't believe that the bear was misidentified, you are in the camp of believing that the monster still lurks in the forests near Grafton. White rubbery skin like a seal.
That just sounds gross, to be honest.
Yeah, it's weird.
I've never touched a seal. Have you ever touched a seal?
Nope.
Yeah.
I've seen them at the zoo. They're so cute.
Yeah, there's some in the bay at my hometown. That's where they come to have their pups. And there's always little pups lying around. Always little pups swimming around. It's very cute. My dad refers to it as the maternity wing. It's where he gives his so my dad gives guided tours out around the bay on like our water bus. It's like a tourist thing.
What does your dad not do?
Yeah, he's a very busy man.
Your dad and Ewan's dad. It's like, man.
Yeah.
Because they're doing it all.
Yeah, they don't leave any jobs for anyone else.
They're taking our jobs.
Yeah, no wonder they always think that we're lazy. It's like, I'm sorry you don't have 4 jobs.
Yeah, they're just doing everything.
Yeah, Emily's saying this because she found out quite far into our relationship that my dad is a beef farmer. She's like, this has never come up. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm like, wait, what? I feel like I might have found out on this podcast.
Maybe, yeah.
Or maybe not. I don't know. I can't remember.
I sent you videos of the little calves though, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Yeah. Little kitties.
Well, then your father-in-law is a beekeeper.
Mm-hmm. He is a beekeeper. And his bees are amazing. And he tells me all about them and shows me their little hives and
That's so cute.
yeah. And how they get the queen and all of that. It's really cool.
That's so cool.
And the bees that he has at the moment are really cool because they're a really docile breed. So you can actually like walk right up to the beehive without any protective gear on and you can just like look straight in and they just don't care.
Wow. That would be fun to see.
Yeah.
Unrelated to bees, we have another monster called the Snallygaster.
Snallygaster.
Snallygaster! Pew, pew, pew. The Snallygaster is a bird-reptile hybrid that originated in America within German immigrant folklore in Frederick County, Maryland. The earliest sightings started in the areas of South Mountain. I was going to say the South Mountain. Areas of South Mountain and Middletown Valley. As time went on, more sightings occurred in central Maryland and in the Washington, D.C. metro area. The German immigrants began settling in the Frederick County, Maryland area around the 1730s and quickly began being tormented by a creature that they originally called the Schnellergeist, which means quick ghost in German.
Oh.
Yeah, kind of creepy. I would prefer my ghosts to be slow.
Yeah. Like, where do they have to be?
Yeah, you have nowhere to go. Just scaring people.
Mm-hmm.
The earliest incarnations of the creature mixed the half-bird features of a siren with the nightmarish features of demons and ghouls. The Snallygaster was described as half-reptile, half-bird, having a metallic beak lined with razor-sharp teeth, occasionally alongside octopus-like tentacles.
Oh, what the fuck?
No, thank you. The Snallygaster was rumored to swoop silently from the sky to pick up and carry off its victims, which were mainly children and livestock.
No.
The earliest stories claim that this monster sucked the blood of its victims. The seven-pointed stars, which reputedly kept the Snallygaster at bay, can still be seen painted on local barns.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So there's like a symbol.
Yeah, to try to ward him away.
Okay, I'm already seeing like the horror movie in my mind, like just like painting these symbols on things, like in a frantic, like the opening scene is somebody like painting like this 7-pointed symbol on a door. Get the children underground.
Yeah. Next, Rowan and Pine does film.
Yes.
In February and March of 1909, newspaper accounts reported that the residents were having encounters with the beast that had, quote, enormous wings, a long pointed bill, claws like steel hooks, and an eye in the center of its forehead.
Oh, no.
It was described as making screeches like a locomotive whistle. I don't know what it is about, like, train sounds. It's like, oh, it sounded like a locomotive whistle. That bothers me so much.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. The encounters gained a lot of attention, so much so that the Smithsonian Institution was offering a reward for the beast's hide.
Oh.
And President Theodore Roosevelt apparently had a trip scheduled to take a safari in Africa, which he postponed so that he could try to hunt the monster himself.
Okay, Teddy.
Okay, Teddy, sit down.
I know you're a manly man and all that, but come on.
Also, stay out of Africa, please.
Yeah, stay out of Africa.
Anyway. There were no sightings of the Snallygaster from 1909 to 1932. In 1932, it was spotted again in Frederick County, Maryland. People assumed that the life expectancy of the Snallygaster is 20 years, and that the 1932 sightings were the offspring of the one spotted in 1909.
Oh, he out here fucking.
Yeah, who's he procreating with? Unless he's like a seahorse.
Or a big turkey or something? Like
a big turkey. I can't. Oh my god. A giant turkey.
Beaky? Like, what's the biggest bird you have in America? Turkeys? Eagles?
Probably. I know people have pet emus. Emus?
But they're not native, right? They're Australian.
No, they're not native. No. But they're here. I don't know.
Well, he's not like defiling a bald eagle or something. Like, just got really patriotic.
The poor wildlife here. There were a few more sightings until the supposed death of the Snallygaster. This is hilarious, and it ties back to what we were previously talking about, which is great. It's said that it was flying over a moonshine still when it was overcome by fumes and fell into the 2,500-gallon vat of alcohol.
Oh, nice.
According to the lore, it is said that people showed up to destroy the Snallygaster and the vat of alcohol that it had fallen into. There have been no sightings ever since.
Oh, man.
Silly Snallygaster.
What a dramatic death.
That's what I was thinking.
Jesus.
It was flying over moonshine and then was like, oh no.
What the hell?
It says, oh my, and then falls.
Well, I'm sure they weren't adhering by the proper, like, ventilation codes or anything like that. So
probably not. If they're making moonshine, that's a
like,
hillbilly operation right there.
They're definitely hotboxing the shit out of somewhere, you know?
Hotboxing the Snallygaster. Dibs on that band name.
I was going to say title of our episode.
Also that. The last one on my list is also very creepy. It's called the Raven Mocker.
Raven Mocker, as in M-O-C-K?
Yes.
Ooh. I didn't know if it was like some sort of German thing, like Mocker. Raven Mocker.
The Raven Mocker. Is that a German accent? Who knows?
It is now.
It is now. The Raven Mocker is a creature that comes out of Native American legends in the southeastern part of the United States. Most commonly among Cherokee, Creek, and Seminole, the Raven Mocker is an evil spirit most feared by Cherokee witches. The Raven Mocker appears as an old, fragile person or is completely invisible except to certain medicine men.
Oh.
When they are searching for their next victim, they fly through the air in a fiery shape, making sounds that mock raven calls. There are sparks flying behind its tail, and it makes the sound of a strong wind.
That was more phlegmy than I intended.
A sick Raven Mocker.
He's got the flu.
He's got COVID. The Raven Mocker torments its victims, kills them, and then it eats their heart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Overkill.
It said that because usually the people that it attacks are sick, and because the Raven Mocker's invisible, like these people will be like being tormented by it, but like its loved ones who are in the room are like, oh, this person's just like having a coughing fit or whatever, but it's actually being beat up by the Raven Mocker.
Oh, they're probably like, they have a fever.
Yeah.
But there's a giant fucking creature after me.
Can you imagine? You're like, no, I'm being beat up.
And you're like, shh, just drink some tea.
Yes, drink some tea, go back to bed. For every year the victim would have been alive is how many years the Raven Mocker adds to its own life after the attack.
Oh.
Because of the fact that medicine men can see the Raven Mocker, they stand guard over the sick to prevent it from being able to steal the victim's heart. If a medicine man sees the Raven Mocker in their true form, the Raven Mocker will die within 7 days.
7 days.
And because it is the most evil witch, once it dies, other witches will come in to abuse the corpse to get revenge. It's believed that if you hear the Raven Mocker's call, someone in the area will die soon, so beware.
Ooh.
Ooh, spooky.
That is proper spooky.
Yeah. And then other big cryptids in the area are Bigfoot, Mothman, and the Jersey Devil.
Nice.
But those will possibly have their own episodes, so I didn't cover them in this.
I'm also just, of course, it wouldn't be an episode of Rowan and Pine if we didn't talk about What We Do in the Shadows, the Jersey Devil from What We Do in the Shadows. Like from New Jersey.
It's so funny. Have you watched the new season at all?
No, I don't think it wasn't out here. I don't think.
Really?
It might be on Disney Plus now because it's on Disney Plus here.
That's weird.
Because it's Fox. It's on
FX.
Yeah. So it's on Disney Plus here.
That's really weird that it would be on Disney Plus because I feel like it's not very Disney friendly.
Yeah. But there's a lot of like adult, like Dope Sick was on Disney Plus. Which is not a good time.
That is.
It's about the opioid crisis.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah.
That's so weird. I also have a list here of Appalachian superstitions that I just wanted to... There was a list of like 50 of them, and I was like, I'm going to pick out some of my favorites.
Okay. Do you want to do some now and then some at the end of mine?
Sure, that's fine. Appalachian superstitions. Don't close a knife you didn't open, or you'll have bad luck for 7 years. Always go out the same door you came in. Don't do any canning or gardening on your period.
Okay.
Plant crops under the full moon. If a bad storm is coming, You put a 2-edged axe into the stump facing the storm to ensure that the storm goes around you. Don't cut your baby's hair before their first birthday. Have a chicken run over your baby to keep them from getting chicken pox.
Oh.
I need a chicken.
Yeah, you better go find a chicken, Emily.
And good thing my baby has almost no hair, so we don't really probably need to cut it before her first birthday.
Oh.
We were actually, was I telling you about this? How we were just at like a gathering for Medardo's coworker because they got promoted. And multiple people came up to me and they were like, "Oh yeah, my baby was bald too." And I'm like, "Too? She has hair. It's just short."
Too. To be fair, like both of her parents have really good heads of hair, so she's gonna be fine. But like,
yeah, and I'm just like, she's not bald though. Like she has hair.
You know the way like some babies like lose some of their original hair? Is she losing some of it or no?
She lost like some of it, but she still has hair.
Yeah.
It's just so weird to me. I'm like, she has hair.
What a roundabout compliment, just going, yeah, your baby's bald.
Yeah, one of the people was like, "I'm not trying to say anything bad." And I'm like,
well, in fairness, it'd be worse if they were like, your baby's super hairy.
Or like ugly.
Yeah.
She was very hairy when she first came out, which is funny. She had like little hairy shoulders.
Aww.
And she had we called them monkey ears because she had hair on her ears. And I was like, it's so funny because like I think these things are so cute and like endearing about her. But like when she's older, she'd be like, "Ew, I had what? I had hair where?" So yeah, that was our part 1 of Creepy Appalachia.
Creepy Appalachia.
I hope you all enjoyed.
Yeah, I very much enjoyed that. That was
good.
Well worth all of the times when I've mentally bookmarked some like video or internet listicle or something that's just like, here are 10 things you never knew about Appalachia. And I'm just like, oh, we really need to do an episode on that. Because there's just so much, such a rich folklore.
Yeah, and the episode we were gonna do, I'm glad we didn't do.
Mm-hmm. It wouldn't
especially now.
It would have been a bit of a buzzkill.
Yeah, it would have been like, here's this stuff that could have been cool, but wasn't actually cool.
Yeah, and it's just a bunch of chancers and fraudsters.
Yeah. Dumb.
Yeah.
So this was your Creepy Appalachia, the creature feature, and next episode will be Niamh telling us about haunted Appalachia.
All of the ghosts and the stories, and a story that very much gave me the heebie-jeebies the first time I heard it, and then when I was researching this again and I was going through, I had like 3 or 4 different sources and I was like, yeah, this is creepy as fuck. Just like that, there might be some explanations, but there doesn't seem to be any definite explanations, which I like. Nobody seems to know exactly what happened.
That always makes me happy because I'm like, ooh, creepy.
Thank you for tuning in again and coming back to us, and anybody new, hopefully you could have caught up during our hiatus, and hi, welcome to
hello
our fortnightly episode schedule.
How very British of you to say fortnightly episode.
Fortnight.
There's a British band that I listen to, and I'm trying to remember who they are, but it doesn't matter. And they had Fortnite in one of their songs. And this was when I was probably like 18, 19. I had to like Google or whatever it was at the time what Fortnite meant because I didn't know. I was like, Fortnite? But anyway, hi, hello, everyone who might be new here. We're happy you're here. We also want to do a fun little segment coming up, and it has to do with giving advice. So if you want somebody to give you advice, if you have a question that you would like to ask that requires an advicey response, I don't know what words I'm trying to use, please write into us. We want to hear from you.
Like, pretend you're writing to, like, a Dear Abby or, like, an Agony Aunt sort of thing.
If you want to send your advice question, you can either write to us at rowanandpinepod@gmail.com. You can also send your ghost stories. You can also send cryptid sightings. You can write to us on Instagram. I just had somebody who's, like, a new listener, and she's like, oh my god, hey, love the podcast, blah, blah, blah. She gave a book recommendation about Bigfoot and sort of the interdimensional theory. So I'm super excited about that. So shout out to that person. I'm so sorry I'm forgetting your name at this moment, but that was pretty cool.
That is cool, yeah. Give us recommendations if you think that there's something that we would like to explore a bit further, or if there's something that you want us to do an episode on, because we have ideas, but it's even better if it's something that you really want to hear about. So
Yeah.
So
well,
make sure to come back to us for part 2 of Appalachia, Haunted Appalachia.
Yeah.
And I have been Niamh.
I'm Emily.
And fuck yeah, Folklore.
Fuck yeah, Folklore. This is Rowan and Pine. Watch out for the Raven Mocker.
Bye.
Bye.